Hello and happy today is each of you folks. I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing day today. Today we're taking a look at the second short story in this collection by Brian Lumley that I picked up that we're reading for my October's from the Cthulhu Mythos. The collection is called Haggopian and Other Stories, and this is the title. Haggopian is the second short story. It's 32 pages long in it. I like to do a bunch of these Cthulhu Mythos short stories around October in the horror genres. When I was a kid, my favorite I encountered my first sort of adult was the Lord of the Rings by J.R. Tolkien when I was a kid. In grade school, loved it lots. And fantasy became my favorite genre, and I devoured tons of things that were published at that time or previously, like Fred Saberhagen, R.A. Salvatore. And fantasy became my favorite passion, mostly with books. And then I read Michael Moorcock in high school. He became my third author of them. After that, and in my third year as a junior in college, I read a 3-volume collection of short stories by H.P. Lovecraft. The first were his horror stories in the early era inspired by Poe. The second one were the Dunsany-inspired fantasy short stories in the Dreamlands, and then last was Cthulhu Mythos. Loved it lots. He became my third author still to this day. And then I picked up a 2-volume collection of his stuff with his co-writes like The Mound or Ghostwrites, or where he's editing and that sort of thing too. I got that too, and I've read everything of his prose there too. And then also I read probably thousands of Cthulhu Mythos short stories, and I devoured a bunch of collections that were published in the 90s, back when I was following this on in the early 2000s too. And that sort of thing too. So and that's why I like to still do some stuff like that too. He's still my favorite author, and I love Cthulhu Mythos stuff too. And so Brian Lumley, after he started writing off stuff in the Cthulhu Mythos of short stories too, that were written for about 20 years for Arkham House and other sort of folks too. By August Sturtevant, he was in the third generation of the Cthulhu Mythos, and then he would move on to books with this Necroscope series, beloved stuff. I think he's still writing. I'm not sure, but it was still current as of the time of this publication in 2004. This is by Solaris Press. And there you are for you folks. Again, I'll link you to this in the comments below, and that sort of a thing too. So I started reading this short story of and I thought, this is pretty good. I'm liking the basic concept. So the basic concept is that Haggopian is an Armenian person who had inherited some money, and then he invested it into. He's super smart, super strong. He's a captain of the seas, and he has bought an island, and he has bought some yachts, and he's written some books, and that sort of a thing too. And he's expanded our knowledge of the seas and history, that sort of thing, tremendously. With his books that are very popular, are all about sort of helping people that are regular people sort of understand these issues, right, in histories and seas and that sort of thing too. And so he's written 4 books, that sort of a thing too. And he shuns the press, and then in our press person arrives. He's just come from serving in an Iraq war. I'm sorry, in an Israeli Arab war as a war correspondent. He's checking in to see if he could get some information from him. He's not the biggest name in journalism, but he does have an established crowd and name out there and review, that sort of a thing too. And Haggopian says, "Yeah, I'll actually talk to you." It's the first interview he's given. Sometimes he has pictures, but he typically tries to stay away from the press. And our point of view character is that interviewer and that journalist. And then he's like, I thought that they maybe just were badly done but his skin is very different. He's not normally, and so my immediate assumption is, he's a deep one. After we see that's been confirmed, that sort of a thing too in the first few pages, and I thought that was a nice little slip to show, and that sort of a thing too. And I thought this is going to be good. And for about the first 10 pages or so, it was an A. And then for the next 10 pages or so, I was like, man, this guy's really bringing it. Good job, Brian Lumley. So I'm moving it to an 8.5 out of 10. For the last 12 pages, I was like, wow, I am loving this. As this guy's telling his life story to the journalist. And I finished up with a 9. And that sort of a thing too. Yeah, my only issue is that because he's telling his journey, and that sort of a thing to the person, that it's more of a show, tell than show. A result. He's got way too much descriptions, way too much, and I feel like if we had actually seen these scenes of his life rather than just him talking about them and so forth, I think it might have been a little more gripping. That's another thing too that I thought was great. 9 out of 10 for you folks. I haven't read that many Brian Lumley stuff. I've only read a couple of short stories for the Mythos collections, like maybe reviewed for you folks, like to Kish Bugshaw, stuff like that. So I haven't read that much. So, but the first one was his first short story he had ever read, and ever. I figured since it would be a little more amateurish, it might be like a 5 or a 6, but it was actually a 7. This one was published later on in his career, and that sort of thing too. But you can definitely tell all up and down the block. It was actually submitted to Arkham House right before Durla died, who was editing it at the time. He's a protege of Lovecraft. And then after that, it was actually accepted by another art magazine that folded. And then his editor eventually sold it to, I think, Fantasy and Sci-Fi magazine, and that sort of thing too. But yeah, I think it's great. It's great stuff. 9 out of 10 for you folks. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm sure I'm slaughtering it. Sorry about that. Sorry, Brian Lumley fans, but it's Haggopian of the Serpent Empire. It looks like a deep one. From A Shadow Over His Mouth. And if you recall, The Shadow Over His Mouth, it's my favorite Cthulhu Mythos short story ever of all time. So I'm definitely okay with him doing a nice little callback. But here he's building up the world, right? As opposed to a lot of third generation stuff, which is more, and second generation stuff under Darla, right? He's not like just pulling everything behind the scenes like the magician who says, "Here, let me show you these people's secrets," and that sort of thing too. Unlike Darla. So I definitely enjoyed this one more too for those reasons. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for you folks. So let me know what your thoughts are. Again, links in the comments below. Remember, I'm not a literary critic. I didn't study English in college either, right? And that sort of a thing too. So I'm not coming to you from a place of expertise, right? I'm just saying, like you are. So that means your opinion really is as valid as mine is, right? And I'll admit looks. And then I do 3 of these reviews for the rest of the week in older things in science fiction, fantasy, horror, and like this stuff too. And so you can check it out too. And then I also do on Wednesday video game reviews of older stuff too, as well as on Saturday, Serial Saturday, I call it, where I go over older movie or TV serials from about this time, maybe, or the pulp era when Lovecraft was alive and writing, that sort of thing. I've done Dick Tracy, I've done Captain Midnight and Captain Marvel, I've done all that stuff. And then also on Wednesday, I already told you about Wednesday, my video games. Well, on Monday, I do older reviews of RPGs, tabletop, or war games, too, tabletop shows like Battletech or Middle-earth Role-Playing or Dungeons & Dragons, so check it out, too. And then if there's 7 reviews a week of older stuff, or if you just want to follow this, go visit with that stuff. Sounds like your cup of tea. Well, then, great. Welcome to the channel and have a seat. I think you'll enjoy your time here quite a bit, right? And while you're here, please do all the YouTube stuff too. Like hit the subscribe button, the like button, bell icon too. All that stuff. Share, watch, that stuff too. Alrighty for you folks. Hope you enjoy it too. And then I want to thank, as you can tell from all the 7 older things, it's the passion of this channel to find these older things for it. You know, I know it doesn't get the hits, but it's fun. It's what I'm all about, is finding these things for you, right? And it's even which title comes from. The worst thing about new books. There's a quote by a French philosopher named Jean Joubert, who says that the worst thing about them was that he kept us from reading the old stuff, right? Not that the new stuff is bad. By default, it's not, right? But in our passion for the new book, the new video game, the new movie, the new music album, we have sometimes forgotten that these things are standing on the shoulders of giants, like H.P. Lovecraft or Brian Lumley, right? So let's check out those giants, all right? And there we are for you, folks. I want to thank you so very, very much for just taking some time out of your day and investing it, right, and watching my videos, because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions too, right? So if you spend this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate that so very, very much. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.